We are back. Welcome back. And we know that digital and AI are transforming sectors and supply chains. They also play a really critical role, vital role in bridging the opportunity gap for people and communities in the UK, India, around the world. So our final digital panel, digital discussion here, is going to bring unique perspectives to this dual mission. How do we turbocharge our economies while we provide really critical societal benefits? This is our final session, looking together at shaping our digital future. We've looked at payments, using AI to build business, telecoms, and there's elements of inclusion in there that we talked about. We're now going to really take a close look at specifically how this rising digital tide can lift all boats. So how do we keep growing while improving lives for everyone, including those previously left behind? So with me here to discuss, Senior Vice President, Head of Sales at Tech Mahindra, Jinender Jain. Thanks very much for coming along. Involved in financial services, insurance, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, and also country head UK and Ireland at Tata Consultancy Services, Amit Kapur. I promised that we hope you liked that little ad beforehand.
I like that, absolutely.
That was good, right?
Well planted.
Well planted, exactly. So, Amit, TCS is a global IT services company. You've worked in Europe as well as the United Kingdom. I know that you help drive efficiency, improve results, but let's hear how specifically technology and AI is transforming business, and then look beyond that, and what are the benefits it brings beyond business economics.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
Pleasure.
I think it's a subject which is very close to our heart. If we look at the evolution of technology, and then we come to the impact piece of it, it used to be a function in an island on a corner of an enterprise. And it always used to be a support function. It has evolved into what we saw coming along as an enabling function. And today, the world that we live in, we are living and experiencing tech-led businesses. I think that's the evolution that technology has seen, from being a support to enablement to leading the businesses. And what it all brings together is essentially the impact of what technology can deliver. And if we look at today's world, I think the transitions that we are living through, beyond the macroeconomics, I think in some of the previous sessions that was spoken about, I think when you club that along with the tech evolution, it has a compounding effect. Whether it is a digital transition, whether it is energy transition, whether it is supply chain transition of moving from just in time to just in case, or whether it is the talent transition of being location agnostic and having talent in cloud. So we are seeing a lot of these forces come together and bring the element of personalization on the back of tech. So we spoke about, I think there's a lot of reference to AI, there's a lot of reference to the impact of technology. The world that we live in, the entire personalization, the algorithmic retailing, all of that is well configured on the back of human intelligence, but with the ability to put machines first. I think we are living in a pretty exciting time to say that it's not a dream that technology can make something. We are seeing live examples. We are clearly seeing the view of if I was to travel on a Monday morning from A to B, how is that different from my same travel on Saturday morning? And that's the level of personalization that I experience as an individual, as a consumer, as a citizen, and I think it's only going to increase more and more.
So that's useful. Give us a little bit big of more of a sort of zoom in on how we can level up opportunity for those left behind.
So it's yes, I think it's an element of reflection as well as action. That the opportunities that came our way, were they well distributed? Were they well adapted? And I think somewhere we have seen that there's a demographic which is left behind. But the world of technology also believes in having longer jumps. So you don't need to go through the sequence of repeating everything that was done for the previous population. I think that's the beauty of it. If you look at it the element of leveling up, and let me take an India example at scale, and possibly it can be done in any of the markets. As an organization of scale, we do recruit quite heavily from campuses. And we used to go to some 200, 300 campuses every year. By design of it, it sounds a lot. But on the bottom of it, you're putting a constraint on yourself by going only to 200, 300 colleges. So how do you unleash that demand and the supply in the market? We democratized the entire evolution of recruitment. And we said that rather than we going to the campuses, we launched a national qualifier test, which is available to the entire graduate population, independent of the schools, colleges, or universities they come from. That is, in my lens, an element of leveling up, bringing opportunities to the door where the talent belongs, and not necessarily only being selective to say that I go only to these 10 places. Can that demand be made available to everyone, and hence fulfill the supply chain as well? So that's one lens, and we clearly see that element being brought towards skills, brought towards learning, brought towards a lot of citizen experiences. And as we talk more, possibly we can touch upon some of them as well.
What impact has that had on who you hire, or that idea of opening up who can apply for jobs?
I think the brightest element of that is that you get the cream. Because you end up opening the doors to everyone, and possibly one bad day could have landed the person in a different university.
True.
But that doesn't mean that the talent per se is not educated enough. And this gives another opportunity to bring that talent to life and just bring that talent into a very different professional career.
Interesting. So, Jinender, let's go back to that first question with you and hear specifically how you think technology and AI are transforming business, and then beyond that, what benefits that brings beyond business economics.
Excellent question, Eddie. And for us, the digital and AI help our businesses run faster, change better, grow stronger. Take examples, remote patient monitoring solutions and the personalized healthcare help improve the quality of life of people who are living alone, who are aged, who are living in remote locations. AR, VR solutions making us smart cities safer and stronger for women and everybody else to actually roam around and have parties along as well in the evening, in the night. They shouldn't worry about those things. Similarly, image recognition solutions are making your pizzas and even sandwiches better. So there is a huge breadth of opportunities which digital and AI is offering to all the companies across the globe, and people are now leveraging it and propelling themselves into the future and deeper into the information age. The point about what apart from economics, what apart from commerce, it can answer a very philosophical fundamental question in terms of origin of life on Mars. It can answer an extremely fundamental question of what happens at subatomic levels, which we see used in quantum computing anyway these days. It can also restore art pieces, help you discover old civilizations, what used to happen out there. It can enrich your philosophy, your living, the way you perceive the world, the way you interact with the world. It goes well beyond into anything. Everything which we currently touch and do currently has a technical component, or a digital and AI is making it better and better.
Interesting. And same follow-up to you then. How do you extend these benefits to people who aren't already on the internet, who don't already have access to a device with the skills necessary?
This is an amazing question and something which is very close to our heart, my heart personally as well. We talk about this digital divide, the haves and the have-nots. But if you look at digital inclusion, there are 4 parameters in which we should all operate on, even governments or even companies. One is the skills, second, access, third, motivation, and fourth, confidence. Let me expand a bit more. Access, I'm sure with 5G network, with Wi-Fi, with satellite communications, we can ensure that the access is provided everywhere. Skills, we can have the training material, we can have the training courses, we can have the best learning management systems so that anybody can access it. There are 2 fundamental more elements. One is the motivation. If somebody is 65-year-old, retired, grandfather, grandmother, what is the motivation for somebody to learn a new technology? Somebody who's struggling with day-to-day life, what is the motivation for that kid who's getting fetching the water from the well to learn a digital technology. And the fourth element is confidence. If I am sharing my data online, is the data secure? Is the data protected? Am I sharing my credit card information? Am I going to lose my pension? Unless we work through these four parameters and ensure that the digital inclusion is taken care of, I think we'll have to work on all the parameters to ensure that people who are haves and have-nots, we diminish the boundary line and bring them together.
Amit, you mentioned, we talked about recruitment, how that's benefited you. What other areas would you point to if we look at digital inclusion, and also this question around expanding it to areas where key infrastructure is still missing?
Yeah. See, the multitude of examples. I think India has been on the forefront of putting a digital identity. And that has gone a long way in belongingness, in ability to do services, and bring the level of services up a quotient. I think on the back of that, you can provision services. There is a market, there's a world-leading example around passport services in India. You understand the scale and the size of India and the entire passport issuance. I think the customer experience goes to an extent that customers come back with a statement that I'm sorry, I cannot experience this for the next 10 years because my passport is valid for the next 10 years, so I can come only once.
Right.
So there are nuggets of some of these experiences which have elevated the entire profile of digital adoption, the redefinition of channels in which the work needs to flow, the entire element of ensuring that it is not static, it continues to reimagine, and to the title of the panel, just open the opportunity. I think that's essentially is where the entire space lies for us. If we look at it in terms of bringing it more closer home here, I think the ability to ensure that we don't look at scales for here and now, but we look for scales for future, because businesses of here and now will also redefine themselves for the future, and we should not be in a catch-up game. I think that's the opportunity for us today, to redefine the skill gap for here and now, but competencies for the future.
We know that globalization and trade has actually done a lot to lift a lot of people out of poverty. We're here reimagining the UK-India relationship, and we're looking specifically, one of the things that we're looking at is around what we could see from a free trade agreement. So I know, Jinender, that Tech Mahindra was asked what it wanted to see from this FTA. Tell us a little bit about what you think is really important from your perspective.
I believe our Prime Ministers, Mr. Boris Johnson and Mr. Narendra Modi, have already said we should have the free trade agreement by Diwali this year. There are a lot of bright minds working towards it, a lot of back and forth happening. There are 3 points which I can absolutely share in the forum, and our company has actually put it out as well in future as well. One is highly skilled talent movement across UK and India, both ways should definitely happen in a much more seamless fashion. On the data protection and data privacy, if we are processing data here or in India, or India data being processed here, at least an equivalence of standards so that it's far more easier to get the job done. And third, what we would like to see is collaboration between the universities on the innovation side, what boundary conditions we can achieve so that we can work for the betterment of the society as a whole as such, in terms of collaboration on digital, AI, those kind of areas in a seamless fashion so that IP protection is maintained across.
Interesting. So data protection and equivalence of how you treat it, movement of people, and then ability to collaborate. Okay. What would you add, Amit?
I think the heritage is with us between the two nations. I think the brightness of bringing services of UK, and that cuts across different sectors, the ability to cross-border that to India, and India then it is an opportunity for the UK firms to expand in India in that context. I think what the current opportunity lies, and that goes possibly beyond FTA also, is to see that when the digital boundaries are blurring, is there an opportunity for us to redefine sectors? Do we really need to look at from the lens of the sectors the way they have been defined traditionally? Or should we relook at the ability to do future businesses?
Like what?
And So like if you look at, I will define a financial services like a bank or an insurance or an airline for travel and things like that. But isn't there an industry of ecosystem? If I look at electric vehicles, I have an equipment manufacturer. I have a general insurance company as well who is equally interested in the journey. So isn't there an opportunity for us to redefine industries on the back of ecosystems of experience rather than a traditional set? Food for thought.
Fascinating. Well, thank you both for your thoughts. I really appreciate it. Absolutely fascinating discussion. We know that these events it's as important to discuss here within the room, but also to meet and discuss and partner around a cup of tea or coffee, or even later if you're watching us online, something stronger. And speaking of something stronger, I will be back in 15 minutes speaking to the CEO of Diageo about what we might see from Diageo in the India story continuing after a free trade agreement. So we're going to have a break now of 15 minutes, and I'll see you back here then. But please join me in thanking my two fantastic gentlemen here on stage, Jinender and Amit. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.